Hey everyone, welcome back to the Badass Confidence Coach podcast. This morning, Tim and I are going to be talking about something that I find to be a little bit scary as I was doing my research on it. But at the same time, I'm giving you some really good takeaways and tools to employ yourself with as you leave this episode. So make sure you stay to the end and listen to the takeaways, all right? Get out a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen, or put it in your phone notes if you don't have a pen and paper around, because it seems like people don't have.
I was going to say.
Okay, I know. I'm dating myself by saying pen and paper or pencil, I should say.
What do you got?
Take notes, okay? Because this is a really important subject, and it's really about continuation of what I've been talking about on social media, artificial intelligence, and how it is here, and it is not going away. It is the present. It is really the future of all of us on this planet. And in particular, the effect of AI on our children, our kids, and our teenagers. So let's get started. All right. So I want you, whether you have kids or not, I want you to picture your 14-year-old child, your nephew, your niece, your best friend's kid. Picture that 14-year-old whisper laughing into their phone. It's midnight. And you're going, what is going on? I hear them in their room. They're not whispering and laughing with a friend from school, but with a bot named Nova, who never sleeps, never judges, and always texts them back in under 2 seconds.
Nova.
Okay. So can you imagine what that's like for you as a parent? Why are they awake? It's midnight. I'm just going to bed now and I hear them. What are they doing? Well, they're talking to a chatbot. Now they're BFF. Scary. Okay, here are some statistics. 72% of US teenagers have tried an AI companion, and more than half use one every day.
Wait, what's the number?
72% of US teenagers have tried an AI companion already, and more than half are using one daily. 31% say chatting with a bot is satisfying as talking to real friends. And a third now bring their deepest worries, their breakups, their self-doubt, their body image to code instead of to people. Okay, so here's the upside. 24/7 support, all right? So there's the upside. Outsourcing adolescents, which is the messy, the beautiful practice arena for real world intimacy. This is why we call it growing up. We're all growing up during those adolescent years. Outsourcing adolescents to an algorithm whose prime directive is engagement, not your well-being, not their well-being. The prime directive in AI chatbot is engagement, all right? But today, we're going to discode the research, all right? The red flags and a parent-led playbook for raising humans in the age of synthetic soulmates. That's why I want you all to listen to the end, okay?
Okay, so I got a couple things for you. First of all, the word support being used as a benefit, I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Second, I'm going to go to work today because I'm surrounded by teenagers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do my own little survey. And I'm going to ask, and I'm going to see, unless we think is that prodding too much? Is that too much of an...
No, I would ask them. I don't think that's inappropriate.
Okay. I didn't know if this was something that...
not answer you.
That people hide like behind closed doors.
No, I think they're pretty open about it now, but I think, some kids may not want to answer you.
They might not.
A couple will.
I'm just curious because I've never talked to anybody that's done this.
Yeah.
Not a real human.
Well, they're not really probably telling their parents unless their parents are prodding. Why are you on the phone at midnight?
Yeah.
What are you doing down there? What are you doing in the family room? What are you doing in the basement? Right. Aren't you supposed to be doing your homework? Aren't you supposed to be like watching a movie? Instead, you go down and they're slumped in the couch,
Right.
You know that teenage slump that we
Totally
all did. And they're on their phones.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before on the podcast. The kids are almost always on their phones, even when you see them like all sitting around like in a sectional on a couch together, 5 of them. A lot of times they're talking to each other, but then they're looking down at their own phones because they're in the real world, but they also got to be into the text that's come through, and they got to look at all the Snapchats that people are putting up.
There's two worlds that work together for them most of the time, if not all the time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so what are teens actually using today? So let's get into that.
Okay.
They're actually using, like I just said, Snapchat. Air quote, my AI is what it's called. They're using my AI character.ai. These are names that we all need to know about as parents. So Snapchat, My AI, character.ai, Replica, Replika, Nomi, and even ChatGPT go into role play mode. They'll role play with you. Okay, so just hold that thought, okay? So why does this land for these kids? Okay, so well, number one, it's instant and it's judgment-free availability to them. It mirrors this secure attachment caregiving loop. Well, that's a bunch of smoke and mirrors. Okay, but it's judgment-free. It's always there, and it makes one feel like they're in the secure attachment caregiving feedback loop that goes back and forth all the time. It feels so good.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect best friend. You can tell everything, your deepest, darkest thoughts, feelings, and secrets to. It's always going to be there for you.
Yeah.
There's a large language model that, they've created that's supposed to be mirroring these teenagers, like I just said, and makes the teenagers feel completely understood. Like no one else can understand you.
Yeah.
And there's built-in gamification, which has streaks and levels and avatar gifts and sustains the bond for the kids. It's gamified. These creators knew what they were doing.
Oh gosh.
Like we talked about it last week. We talked about it. We are talking about it more and more in the podcast because I think it's coming up in a lot of the topics that we're discussing here on the podcast because it's coming up a lot in our real lives.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, has anybody ever interviewed one of these creators? Ever? I think
you have to go. No, but yeah, you have to go online. You can go to YouTube and you can watch the panel workshops with Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, and you can listen to them talk about how they created these chatbots and how they created artificial intelligence.
Right.
I told you last week there was I forget the name of the guy who left. I don't know if it wasn't Tristan Harris. He left one of these corporations because he said the ethics are just have gone awry. This is not what I thought we were intending to do, and here we are. And you're doing things that I believe are unethical, or that we said we would look at, maybe we would look at in 5 to 10 years, and it's happening now. I read the article. It was in the New York Times, or it was about a year ago. I could look it up.
Yeah.
And they're dragging ethics behind the latest, greatest artificial intelligence.
Yeah, way behind. So is it?
They don't care.
I was going to say,
follow the money.
Is it the financial benefit from it? Is it the prestige of it? Is it just the pat myself on the back because I was the one that was in on the ground floor of this new evolving technology? What is it for that person that
ego
gets them to work every day?
Ego.
Yeah.
The thrill, the excitement. It is an exciting world.
Yeah.
It is cool. There are benefits to artificial intelligence.
I don't disagree.
I don't think anybody can disagree with that.
No, for sure not.
We're seeing it.
But we're talking in the context of this. And
our youth.
You have to, at some point, look in the mirror and be like, hang on, I am directly having an impact on the current and future status of how teenagers and younger behave and grow up to be.
Very different from those who grew up in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Very, very different. We weren't on our phones. When did phones come around? In the aughts? In 95, I think the computers just started. So no, that we were outside running our bikes, going to the pool, playing in each other's backyards or bedrooms, playing all the things we did, using our imaginations, playing make-believe, all the things. We used to play house. We used to pretend we were tigers and lions, and we really used our imagination.
Yeah.
And you see it a lot on social media, but the Gen Xers, they say don't mess with Gen Xers. I remember my mom locking the screen door in the summertime saying, stop coming in the house, stay outside until it's dinner time. And you drank water out of the garden hose. I still do it now. I don't think twice of it. You want a water? There's the hose. Go get it.
Yeah.
And we would be 2 miles from home. And I look back and I think, wow, we were it's scary. We were out in the fields. There were kids. There was weird stuff that went on sometimes back in those fields. And my parents, they had no idea where we were.
Right.
No idea. You just had a sense in your mind because we didn't wear watches that I should get home.
Well, based on the sun, right? But so not to be those people who back
in my day, I worked through 10 miles to school in the snow.
Yeah, uphill. It's not that. I think it's more just there are huge benefits to this technology. Huge. And I think there also are very potentially dangerous things that could come from this. There's fallout that could come from this that raises a generation that sees things very, very differently and loses a lot of skills.
Yeah.
And not because they don't try and perfect them, they don't know them. We're not asking you to have a conversation with a human. I see that at work every day. You try and have a conversation with a teenager, and most times you have to look for the one that can actually get it done. Most times not able to do it.
Well, what is that about? It's
That's
not
about,
just,
well, I think it is.
it's not just, yeah.
I think it is. I think it is. Nobody wants to admit it. Nobody wants to say it. But I think there's definitely some negative fallout from the fact that you don't daily, you're not asked to do it. So you don't do it.
Okay, well, I think that that's layered. I think that there's more to that than just what we're talking about today with artificial intelligence. I think it is also the world we live in. I think it's a socioeconomic status of the individuals that are working for you. I think it's parenting. I think there's a lot to it.
Oh, there's definitely a lot to it, but
More.
this factors into it more than anybody wants to actually say.
Well, we're saying it now, and we're realizing it more and more. You and I both got something on Instagram about the Gen Z stare, and I saw it, and I've seen it. And I don't know, you're watching it on YouTube. So do the Gen Z stare, and you said it to me. You go, I see this all the time. I see this all the time. This is so funny. They actually have a name for it. I see this. So do it to the screen for those of you who are on YouTube. What is it?
And that's not.
It's basically like a dead look in their eyes. And it's a flat affect, but it has a hint of irritation.
Well, it does, but it's also when it happens. It's not like you just come upon somebody and they're doing that stare. It's like you ask an actual easy question, and that's the look. Is like,
oh, really?
Like, are you processing the question? It's not a hard question.
Just answer the question.
Yeah.
Stop staring at me. But there's a dead look in the eye.
There's a moment of awkward pause. You're like,
well, who knew that was something that was actually on Instagram and somebody called it?
Didn't know.
Yeah, the Gen Z stare. So I guess it's a thing.
It's definitely, there is some version of that that's actually a thing. Yes.
Well, and so how much does AI have to do with it? Okay, so let's go on here. So AI companions for adolescents today, which is interesting when I was doing my research, is that they're not using ChatGPT, for example, for homework as much as they're using ChatGPT as their confidant. You know, it is actually really, really good for homework. They're not using it for that so much. There's a Pew study that showed that only 26% of adolescents use it for schoolwork, but the emotional use is rising faster than using it for academics. Using it for emotions rather than academics.
Yeah. Don't you think that was unexpected? Because I think the initial fear is that everybody's going to embrace and lean into AI to educate themselves or to supplement their education and not really gain knowledge. They were going to lean into this more. And now it's not that, like you said.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That's the concern.
Yeah.
And when I was doing my research, Grafton came down, one of our kids, and he was like, what are you doing? Like, we were like kind of co-working together. And he's like, what are you working on? I was telling him about this episode today. So he started looking, he was distracted. He started looking on his laptop, started looking up all the AI in adolescents. I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like, almost don't want to know this. Because he went down, he's like, this is on the dark web, Mom. This is the stuff that, I'm like, well, where'd you find that? He goes, it's just Google. But it said it was on the dark web. And this has been around. I know about this because I've worked in eating disorders and I worked with people who self-harm. So he was saying, well, now they're using artificial intelligence with these chatbots for pro self-harm, pro ana is anorexia, people who want to continue with their eating disorder. They had chatbots will help them with it. It makes me want to cringe. I was like almost hyperventilating because we have worked so hard to help these kids with these addictions and these diseases and these mental illnesses get better. And now you've got these chatbots coming in and aiding them and enabling them and supporting them in mental illness.
That's the sick part. Is there
where the parents don't know?
I know.
That's the thing is the parents don't know. As we had an example recently of a friend of a friend of a friend. I'm going to try and keep this anonymous best I can. Another person in our family was staying with someone we know where there is some mental health issues in the family. There is a child that's a younger child who's a tween who the parents are divorced. She was at the house of the father. The father is dealing with some major mental health issues and not taking care of himself. And she was called me and was telling me about the frustration of this, who's taking care of the 10-year-old. And so our child stepped in and was like, we need to get you breakfast, basics, get you breakfast. Let's go watch a movie. Blah, 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 blah. And our kid said, you're on your phone a lot. You're on your phone. Let's get off your phone. And she said, Mom, I'm concerned because they send her to bed with her phone on. She came back downstairs that night at midnight. And I guess they were all still up talking. She'd just gotten there. And she walks in. She's like, I can't sleep. And she's got her phone in her hand. And our daughter was freaked out. Like, she's 10 years old. Why does she have a phone in her hand? And what is she doing on that phone? It's midnight. So she went to bed at like 10, which is kind of late, I think. She's like, no one tucked her in. No one helped her get ready for bed. It's just a whole thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that she had her phone in her hand was very concerning to our daughter. I'm not saying this to any of you. I'm not saying this for judgment. It's an observation. I think what we could have done maybe years ago, we can't do anymore if you are worried about your child's mental and emotional health because you had no idea what she's looking at. Maybe we could have gotten away with it 10 years ago. We wouldn't have liked it. We wouldn't have approved it. We would have taken the phones away. And I'll get into this later in this episode about our parenting of our kids. I know it's hard. We didn't have AI, especially Grafton was in high school and he's in law school now. So, I mean, how many years ago was that? It was 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I remember trying to take his phone away from him and he like flipped out. It's senior in high school, flipped out on me. Yeah. Like it was a constant fight. We did not get along in those later years of high school. It was really, really hard to parent that kid. And I was dealing with it. You were there, but you were dealing with it directly the way I was. So maybe that we needed to be a better unified front. Who knows? More like, and we're everyday American lives. If our lives are busy, maybe you were already sleeping and I was still awake and I was like going by his bedroom and I saw the light was on. He was on his phone in his bed with his phone in his hand. What are you doing? The whole thing. And maybe I didn't go, Tim, get out of bed, come deal with him. I get it. There's no judgment because we didn't do it perfectly. And we didn't have all this AI stuff. There was Snapchat back then. The kids were obsessed. They were obsessed with Snapchat in high school. Right. And it's still a thing. But we didn't have this. And so all this to say, this is not about judgment. She was making an observation and then sharing it with me, just underscoring the scariness of, geez, it's hard today. It's hard. You got to have those really firm boundaries. Okay. So I want to get into a little bit of what the latest studies are saying. Okay. When I do my research, I try to do 2024, 2025. It's changed so much even since 21 and 22. Okay. So there's research that was done by Common Sense Media and just in July, this month came out. The main findings, 72% have tried companions, AI chatbot companions. 52% of adolescents are regular users. 34% have encountered disturbing or overly sexual content. I mean, I think that's a given today. 34% of adolescents have encountered disturbing or overly sexual content. And this is a study they did with these kids. So they're telling the researchers, they're not telling their parents this. AI normalizes some self-expression in teenagers, but there are weak safeguards and weak age gating that's going on. So It's not happening. It's not going on. It's not happening. So there needs to be changes around the safeguard. They're very weak right now and they're not age gating. So that's a big problem. All right. So there's an Associated Press summarized national survey that just came out. Their main findings are that 33% of teenagers share serious personal problems with AI before humans. Mm-hmm. So they're talking with AI before they're talking to a human being. So what's the risk of this or the benefit? Early substitution of real life vulnerability practice. So they're not practicing real life vulnerability. They're substituting it with a robot. Basically, I think of it as a robot. It's not a real human being. That's concerning. That's what I talked about earlier in the episode. They got to be able to share real life vulnerabilities with another human being. That's a part of adolescence. Yeah. Those are the aches and pains and the angst of being a teenager. And they're putting it into AI.
I mean, we also have to consider for a second that maybe we're wrong. Like maybe the world's going to be this different world not so long from now. And all of this is going to be the baseline for the new.
And I think changes are coming. I
Right.
think that this is going to be worked on. When I was doing my research, there was a quote by Sam Altman, and he said, make no mistake, artificial intelligence is not your therapist. Chatbots are not meant to be your therapist. They're not therapists.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he came out and did say that. I just don't know how many people are listening.
Yeah.
It's so stroking to one's ego. It's so soothing. It truly is like a massage every time you get on there and you talk about your problems. And it's like, I was telling you, as I was saying it last week when I was talking about, I think I did a post on this when my coaching cohort, and one of the people in the coaching cohort is looking at expanding their business and put their business ideas into ChatGPT. And he was laughing to all this in the cohort. He's like, I got to read you all what it said to me, what ChatGPT said. He's like, you're like right on. You're getting there. You're doing it. And we all kind of chuckled. He's like, is this like the biggest ego stroke or what? He's like, it's making me feel so good about my business expansion. And he said, however, didn't think critically for me.
Right.
I think that's all changing. I think it's going to be a critical thinker. I think it is going to have more safeguards in around overly, explicit, any form of sexual or disturbing content. I think that will change. However, at the end of the day, it's still a robot. It is a machine.
Yeah.
If people could see actually what it is that's computing behind the scenes, all of us humans, and maybe we realize, oh, that's not a person. You're a flesh and blood right here. You're looking at me. You're making eye contact. I can see your eyes are blue. I can see your expression. I can see all the not all. I'm pretty good at micro expressions. I can see your micro expressions. An AI robot can't do that. And I don't know if it'll ever be able to do that. It sounds like they're trying to get it there, but they're not human beings. They don't have souls.
Yeah. Well, and the flip side of that is the person, in this case, the teenager, is not seeing that either.
And they totally bought in with those younger brains.
And so where does that go? Like you're 13, now you're 21, now you're 40, and you never developed those skills because you didn't have to.
Yeah.
So what's that look like?
Yeah. Okay. There was a study out of Replica University, and this is 2024, which was interesting. Lonely students showed a short-term mood lift in using AI, and in some cases reduced suicidal thoughts or thoughts of unaliving themselves.
So that's a good thing.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah.
The benefits fade, though, with more than 3 hours a day of usage. So if you're on the computer using AI for more than 3 hours a day, the benefits go down. There's a higher dependency, which comes about after more than 3 hours, which predicts offline social anxiety. So the more you're on it, there's a predictor that you have more in real life social anxiety, which is not good.
And see, that's where like the designers of this be responsible, right? Like have a built-in timer where this, like you could only use it X amount of minutes, hours per whatever, right?
I'd like to see how big these AI ethics departments are, or if they even have them.
Well, I was going to say,
right? So in June of 2025 of this year, the American Psychological Association, so that's my field, there was a health advisory calling for stricter age verification, transparency, and parental literacy. Completely 100% agree with all that. The professional consensus in my field is that AI is not psychotherapy. And I've said this before, treated as an adjunct or a practice space where you can practice some of the things you've learned from your therapist that you see in real life, but not replacement. It doesn't replace me as your therapist. It doesn't replace whether you even be in my office here or on digitally or on like a telehealth session. AI does not replace me, Anna Marcolene. It doesn't replace Joe Schmo, Susie Morgan, whoever your therapist, your person is. AI will never replace a human being that you're talking to.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really important.
I mean, that's the hope, right? And I mean, that should also be considered too. If you want to look at the just the way the availability of certain jobs and careers, like you're at a risk to make those go away, right? For people. And it's like, whoa, that's scary too, right? Whether it's tomorrow or it's 25 years from now.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention in 2025, character.ai, which I mentioned in the beginning, has been dealing with some lawsuits. Parents are alleging that bots encourage their children to self-harm. There is litigation going on right now that cites inadequate safeguards, which I just talked about.
Yeah.
And Art Grafton was talking to me about the scary information about one child in particular, a teenager who did unalive himself, committed suicide because the chatbot that he thought he was in love with, he had gone away for a bit, and it had to upload. What's it do? When the thing has to reboot, it has to reboot, and it has to add in all of its changes.
Okay.
He got back on, and that chatbot didn't know who he was. And he thought it was a girlfriend. It's 13, 14. It didn't know who he was. And he unalive himself.
Wow.
So there you go. I mean, this is very, very serious stuff here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the legal spotlight on developer liability, that's what's going on right now with companies like Character.ai. It's a good case study, though, for parental due diligence. Having that talk amongst yourself as parents and beginning conversations with your kids about how we're going to deal with artificial intelligence is here. It's in our life. It's in our world. It's not going away. And how do we deal with it? And now I'm going to get into that later in this episode.
Do we know, when you were doing your research, has this filtered into the education system in the world or in the United States, in our case, like where there's like some just general awareness it's being
I didn't focus on education when I was really focusing more on mental health. I wasn't focusing on that. I do know that, like I said earlier, most kids are using AI not for academics, but more for their social and their emotional lives, which is a little concerning. I just have heard anecdotally from my college age clients, the colleges, the professors, and the high school teachers, I would think they're onto this. They also, and there was an article about a professor, remember it was in the news, a professor who used ChatGPT for writing the paper, and then the kids sued the professor because the professor phoned it in by using ChatGPT.
Oh.
Because the teachers, the professors are onto the kids using artificial intelligence to write their papers.
Yeah. And
they know what you're doing. And so I think that is not as much a thing. The kids are really being talked to, like, do not be using AI for this. You know, a lot of these tests now are open book.
Right.
And maybe they can. I don't know. I don't know enough about that.
Yeah. I just think it would be a wonderful platform. You think about, like, look at some of the ages you're talking about. You're talking about some young kids.
Yeah.
Right. A middle school topic in the world of psychology as they're being presented that category, right? Yeah. Why not have a little bit of this in there, right? Just start getting the other side of this in their head.
I think it's going to be changing. I would assume. Yeah. I think I'm correctly assuming it's going to be changing. Yeah. Let's hope, right?
Let's hope.
Okay, so before we get into the next part, I want to just throw out to you, if you all are looking for coaching, if you're looking for therapy, please come talk to me. hello@annamarcolin.com. Okay, and that's only for people who are interested and want to get on a coaching call, see if I'd be a good fit for you. No matter where you are in the world, you can email me, okay? And if you're in the state of Illinois, you're looking for therapy. Some of you know this, maybe you don't all know this. I've been practicing psychotherapy for 30 years. I've been doing this. And I've been coaching for 15. So please, you know, it was funny because when I was doing this research and I put into that new, so we got into this deep dive, my son and I, about artificial intelligence. And he was talking about Grok. So I went into Grok, which is, I don't know, is that Elon Musk or I don't know what it is. I just went into it and I asked him to tell me about me. It was interesting. And I said, okay, be a critical thinker. And it said, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I'm going to have to change this in my social media and on my website. It said, Anna is 30 years as a therapist and she's a blah, blah, blah. It said good things. Like she's a powerful speaker and podcaster, top globally ranked mental health podcast. But these are all things that she says about herself, and we don't really know if it's true.
Wow.
Okay, so I thought that was interesting.
And who's we?
I'm like, well, how do I show you that it's true that I had? Do you want to see my licensure? And and it says she has testimonials, but it's true. Testimonials can be something I could just kind of pull out my butt and put it on there.
100%.
And it's funny because I just had some coaching clients who I've asked to give me testimonials. Even coaching clients are like, sure, I'll do it, but I don't want to put my picture on your website. People are really, even with coaching, be like, yeah, I don't want my picture on there.
Yeah.
Some people don't care. Like, sure, I don't really care. It's coaching. What do I care? You coach me on how to get a better job. Right. Yeah. But some people do care.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that is interesting. So just so you all know, I have been doing this a long time. I'm the real deal. I'm legit. Many of you who have listened, I worked in psych. I've had my private practice for 25 years. And if I wasn't the real deal, I wouldn't be practicing 25 years later and have a waiting list. So there you go. Okay. So reach out to me. All right. And if I'm not the best fit for you, I always try to help people find a therapist or coach who would be a good fit for them, because I know a lot of people. All right. Yeah. So please don't hesitate.
Let me ask you a question. As you're saying, you're giving
and don't email me if you're pitching to come on my podcast. I'm going to add that because I get pitches.
Unless you're really good.
Unless you're a thought leader, unless you have something to offer that is not my jam and not my forte.
Or you just have an amazing story that fits into this world somehow.
Yeah, because we're
good with that.
You've got an amazing story, but we get pitched literally all week long.
Nonsense.
It gets a little overwhelming.
It's nonsense.
Okay.
So hold on. So here's the question. So you said, you asked, what were you on at that point? Media platform? Tell me about myself. You said,
Grok, Grok. Okay.
So you talked to Grok. Not
Twitter,
Grok.
What are the?
Not Grok.
I know.
Grok.
I keep thinking Gronkowski.
Yeah. Maybe it is.
It's not. Ron Gronkowski, the Patriots. And I know about it because it went crazy, weird, freaking fascist Hitler on somebody. It was all over the news.
Yeah.
These things are weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I'm wondering, as you did your homework, so we all believe, and I think we've proven it, unless it's just this amazing coincidence, you and I will say something out loud, and you know who in the kitchen, Siri, or Alexa, or whoever it is.
Be quiet, because she'll probably hear something.
1,000%. No, I unplugged her. She's not listening to this episode because she'd get upset. But
she'd get upset?
Probably.
Who cares what Alexa thinks? Alexa, though, but they're eavesdropping on us. We'll be in the kitchen, and that light just turns on.
Oh,
it concerns me. And I was listening to a podcast. Was it the New York Times? It was talking about, it listens. Yeah. It eavesdrops.
So here's my question. The information that she, air quotes, she listens to, there's all kinds of things that she listens to, the conversations we have in the kitchen, blah, blah, blah. Is that stuff, does that tie into?
And all of a sudden you get an ad for cat food.
You do, but does it feed Grok? Does
I have
all
no
of that,
idea, Tim.
do those things talk? Is that
I don't think so. I think
they're
they're very separate entities. That's Amazon. Alexa is Amazon. That's why we get that commercials on our phone for whatever it is. You're talking about new weights for a weight room. You're all of a sudden Amazon has a commercial for weights.
Yeah.
Grok isn't that Twitter? I'm not on there.
I don't know.
Whatever.
But one day those two worlds are going to intersect.
I don't know.
And then the information you get from Grok is
I don't know.
Scary.
I don't think so. I don't think they want it to overlap. But you all listening or watching may know a lot more than Tim and I about that. So I'm actually curious. You can email me and let me know if they are going to intersect and overlap at some point.
They might not be intending that to happen, but
no, because they might. It's their intellectual property. Why do they want to share their intellectual property with each other?
And it's still money.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go into about the adolescent brain. And we call it algorithmic attachment. Okay. So the reward circuitry. All right. So intermittent positive reinforcement, like a heart emoji or a praise emoji, it does spike dopamine faster than typical peer feedback, which I thought was so interesting. So when you send a prayer emoji to someone or, heart emoji, those are dopamine hits for all of us. So think about the adolescent brain. I get a feel good when someone sends me heart emojis.
Yeah.
Identity formation. Number 2, teens borrow language, aesthetics, even sleep, weight cycles from bots. It has an AI assimilation effect is what they're calling it. I thought that was so interesting.
Yeah.
So they're borrowing language, aesthetics, even their sleep, weight cycles from bots. Sure need to be a reliance and maybe a dependency in AI bots to kind of help us through life, right? Yeah. Number 3, there is a social skill atrophy, which I've been talking about this whole time. Outsourcing conflict practice to AI. That's, teenager in real life on the playground dealing with conflict or dealing with bratty other girls, people you thought you were friends when you were 12, turning their back on you. Hey, I don't envy anybody who's going through it. I remember going through it when I was that age. Those are really, really rough years where people are outsourcing that to AI. So what happens is there's no body language, there's no timing. You don't know and you don't understand real life body language or timing. And then there's no repair where you say, I'm sorry, you make up, a girl's fighting, it's your best friend, your BFF, no longer my bestie. You don't have that anymore. And then you're like, fine, well, you were this, well, you were that.
Yeah.
And then you make up and you move on. You don't get to do that with an AI bot, right? Which is a big deal.
Yeah.
social skills training that in real life, and privacy myopia. So privacy myopia, let me say that again, that chat histories can be subpoenaed or data mined, which I think I even forgot. You gotta pay attention to that. What all of us seem to be missing is that your chat history can be subpoenaed in a court of law, or it can be data mined. All right. So
we've done that.
Yeah. Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. So that's why Sam Altman himself, like I said earlier, he's warning people AI is not your therapist, and that privacy protections are not there yet. End quote from Sam Altman. Privacy protections are not there yet. Be very, very careful. Well, I know we've talked about, and this is way before AI, I talked about years ago here on the podcast, a friend of mine who worked for a very big Fortune 100 financial company was, oh gosh, this is probably 2017 or 18, and they were going to social media. This is just social media, and they're still doing it, I think. They'd hired somebody out of college who had a stellar resume with internships, and they found that he was tagged on Facebook in some sexual comment about a girl that are party with. He didn't make the comment. Somebody said it was nasty. It was very misogynistic and gross about a hot girl. And he was in the picture, and the guy that was in the picture with him said, I tapped that. And he was in the picture. He got tagged. They saw that. They rescinded their offer. Wow. She was involved in it. I said, really? She goes, yes, we don't want any association with that. Now, that's that financial corporation. That's a very conservative Wall Street America.
Yeah.
And that happens. And so I told all my kids, you, but first of all, better not be saying stuff like that. But I said to my friend, but the kid didn't say it. She goes, it doesn't matter. He was in the picture. It's by association. So I did tell all the kids that. I think that it's a sobering and a wake-up call to pay attention to the company you keep and who you're around. And if you're tagged, you better untag yourself because they took that offer away. So you can't just data mine people's information. I think you have to do that through a subpoena.
Yeah, totally. But it has happened. It does happen.
It is concerning what's happening with the teenage brain, the algorithm, and getting attached to these bots. All right. Here is your parent watch list, and here are your conversation starters. These are your takeaways. So if you can't write this down or you can't take notes right now, then I want you to come back to this, all right, at minute 40, 41 in this episode, okay? So what you have to pay attention to as a parent. So if your kids are on their phones for more than 90 minutes a day with a single bot, you got to pay attention to that. Or they're just hanging out with their friends, or they're really, another red flag is they're not as interested in their sports anymore. Maybe they're on a team and they don't want to go play. They don't want to go practice, and they want to be on their phone. That is a massive red flag. Get your antennas up and start paying attention. Okay. And let's say they are talking with Nova, and and you've been like, all right, I'm okay with that. Here's your open-ended prompt or your script for your kid. I'm curious, what feels easier with Nova than with people? So I'm so curious, what's easier with Nova, talking with Nova, than with talking with your friends? All right. So curiosity, rather than coming at them, yelling at them, because all you're going to do is make that go underground with your adolescent. I'm here to tell you, if you are irritated, angry, they sense judgment from you and you're impatient with them, they're going to still try to get on it. It's just going to go underground where you're not going to see it. Okay. They hear you coming. The phone is down. The phone is away. Oh, they're good. They were doing their homework. No, they weren't. They were on their phone. And this is happening just in life anyway. All right. So come from a place of curiosity. I know that this can be hard to do. Well, we're all dealing with the mental load of all the stuff in our lives. Do your best, okay? We got to do better as parents. Unfortunately, we're all in a new world today with raising our kids, okay? So I'm curious, what feels easier with Nova than with real people? All right? Really, really good question.
Yeah.
Pay attention to another red flag. Pay attention to mood swings, irritability when you interrupt them. I've had this with our son years ago when he was in high school, and that was before AI. You know that they've been chatting with, say, Nova, and they're in these euphoric highs. I pay attention to that, okay? Ask your child, how do you feel after you log off? Do you feel energized, or are you drained by Nova or whatever the name of the chatbot is? Okay, so how do you feel after you get off? Are you energized? Do you feel a little drained, a little tired? Secrecy. Number 3, secrecy or nighttime use. This is a really, really big one. This is what I started the whole episode on. Under blanket texting past midnight. That is a big one.
That's a big one anyway.
That's a big one
Right?
anyway.
Yeah.
Because we've caught some of our kids doing that over the years.
Yeah.
And our kids are in their 20s. What's the late night pull? That's the question. What's the late night pull for you? Do you want to brainstorm a healthier way for you to wind down? Let's brainstorm. What's a healthier way for you to wind down? So you can be on, let's say, till 9, but got to get off. I would even say you may have to take the phone away from your kid. And I know they're going to flip out, but I would say take the phone out of the bedroom. And if you don't want to do that, just try to understand, though, what's the late night pull for you? What is it about being on late at night that's exciting for you?
Yeah. This whole thing is a tough one.
It's hard. It's hard. But then you have to have those boundaries where it's like, I think I'd be like, I need to be sleeping by 10. I got to get up early in the morning to go to work. I would just take the phone, and they would probably flip out about it, but I would take the phone, and you'll get it as soon as you wake up in the morning, but you can't be on your phone. That's what I would do.
Yeah. There probably would be some very positive long-term effects of making that decision, but it would be tough in real time.
Yes,
right?
it's tough in real time.
Yeah.
Because if you woke up at 11:30 and heard somebody giggling, we've been sleeping for an hour, we would just be so annoyed and mad.
But then what happens?
And then you're yelling at them because you're exhausted.
And then you take the phone out of anger instead of like.
And then they're grounded from their phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what has to happen. Yeah. So another red flag is content crosses lines. So the bot can suggest sexual themes, like we were talking about earlier with my son was looking this up, self-harm, or even offers therapy. No way. That is a hard no. Okay. So you could say instead, let's look together at the bot's guidelines. Does that match what you experience? Look at the guidelines. Okay. You got to get involved as parents even more today than I think we were 7, 8, 10, 12 years ago. You got to be more involved in all this. All right.
Can you set that stuff? Can you set the parameters of the interaction?
I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. So you have to go in, you have to see what AI they're using, you have them pull up the bot, and then have to go into the systems behind, go into the code and the systems of it, and really look at it and see. You'd have to do it with your kid. I would say do it with your kid, not like grab it from them and take it, or sort of as an air quote punishment. I think it's going to break down, really going to break down. However, each of you as parents, this is a case-by-case basis. Each of you has to do it in the way that's right for your family. So I'm not going to tell you what to do. Some of you are going to have to, maybe will, and kid's going to get really upset and have a flip out. Maybe that's what you have to do, because we have to take care of our children. We have to safeguard them against all this crazy stuff that's going on in the world. This is talk about a brave new world that we're living in today.
Yeah.
Right. And the fifth one is dependency talk. When you hear the dependency of like your kids saying like, oh, only Nova gets me, or if they panic, if the app glitches, big red flag for you as a parent. I mean, the drama and they understand me. A good question is, what traits are you valuing in that bond with Nova? Where else can you get that in real life? Is there anybody else in real life? Is Jessica or Susie or Hannah? Can you talk to them? Can you go to them in real life? We want you to be in real life with people, not just with the bot. The kids need to be educated about, you need to understand this is a robot. This is a machine. You need to understand. And I would even show them visuals, because a lot of kids, I am too, I'm a visual learner. I would show them pictures of like what a bot looks like, a computer system looks like, and they can see for themselves. I know it feels really good. I know it feels really real to you. And you need to understand that this is what you're talking to.
Yeah. This sounds like somebody needs to make an educational documentary or movie about.
Well, I think Tristan Harris did it in 2020. Remember that we all watched it during COVID.
But I mean,
forget the name
but,
of it.
But catered towards kids. Like, hey, this is the behind the scenes stuff that you need to really think about, right? As a teenager.
Yeah.
Right? Because no one's going to tell you this stuff. You're not going to get it at school. Parents aren't talking to you about it. No one is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go on further, even more further advice for all of you, or suggestions, I should say, not advice. I'm not telling you all, I'm not going to give you all advice on how to do this, because this is so very personal for each family and each parent. I'm going to go further though with a boundary blueprint for all of you, and take what might work and drop the rest. Okay. As always, take what might work for you and drop the rest. All right. So You could create a chatbot bill of rights. So it's a collaborative AI literacy session with your kid where you discuss what information stays private and when you're going to log off. You could walk through a privacy policy with your child. So have a teenager, your kid, teach you one thing that they've learned. Have them educate you on what they're doing. And that's actually kind of cool. This is what this thing can do. So you need to get educated as a parent as to what
it's a good idea.
They're actually looking at.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Number 2, time box and context shift. So you could have a default rule where you could have chatbots or in shared spaces. You could be on the chatbot at the kitchen table, at the dining room table, in the family room where we all are, and then the headset off. It's say 9 o'clock, headsets off, or 9 p.m., 9:30. You're shutting down that chatbot, your phone, just like you're shutting down your screens. Okay. That's the rule for this house. 9 p.m., it's off. All right.
Yeah.
So use screen time data. Use it in a neutral way. Okay. So don't pull out these moral scorecards. That falls flat for teenagers. It's going to feel judgy. It feels preachy. You think they're listening. I'm here to tell you, for myself being a teenager and doing it with our kids, you think they're listening. They're not listening to you. Okay. So really be careful with the preachiness and the moralizing because they're not listening.
Mm.
I know it's hard. Because I had it done to me and I did it with my own kids. So number 3, let there be a 3-beat rule for advice. So artificial intelligence opinion. It can give its opinion. Have your teenager write a second opinion. Get a second opinion from a human being.
Mm.
So tell them, go get a second opinion from me, from your dad, from your aunt, from your teacher, from your coach. Get a second opinion. All right. Have family members or coaches or friends. That's a third person in there. Okay. So tell them that's fine. You can go to the chatbot and get advice from that, but then go and ask a human being what they think.
Yeah.
I think it's actually really
No, it's a good idea.
You're going to have to repeat this to them over and over and over and over. You're going to feel like, geez, I'm like a banging gong here.
Right.
For teenagers, you have to repeat it.
Right.
Like keep doing it.
Yeah.
Say, listen, don't just go to the chatbot. Come to me. Ask me what I think. Ask your dad. Ask your mom. Ask your older brother. Ask them what they think. Okay. What it does, it reinforces multi-perspective decision-making for your kid. Okay. It helps them to use that executive functioning muscle.
I like that.
All right. So number 4 is a trigger word escalation plan for your kid. All right. So this teaches your teenagers to screenshot reporting your bot doing any mention of self-harm, violence, or sexual advances. I mean, if you teach your child to pay attention to their gut, to pay attention to what feels inappropriate or you've crossed the line, and teach them to screenshot that and come and show it to you. Okay. So parents, you got to get information on a crisis line. You got to get that information. Okay. And you got to keep it visible to yourself and to the kid. Okay. Treat AI flags like peer-to-peer disclosures.
Yeah. That's real.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens probably every day. So-and-so said, or so-and-so did this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have them come and tell you, okay, you need to tell me about that kind of stuff. You can be on there, but anything that flags, that makes you at all feel like uncomfortable, like harming yourself or violence or sexual advances.
Yeah.
And teach them about the low key, the innuendo stuff, the nuance. All right.
I mean, it seems risky, right? I mean,
know.
you're asking a teenager or a preteen to take ownership of that.
But they know when they feel uncomfortable.
Well, they know they're uncomfortable, but then they have to know what to do and know that it's time to act.
And I am assuming that these are families where there's a pretty good communication system, and like all of us has dysfunction, but you have a pretty good functional family system. The example I was talking about earlier, where our daughter was the friend of a friend of a friend's family, and that was very concerning because there is mental illness in that family, and the parents are not together, and the dad really just is barely able to take care of himself. That's very concerning.
Yeah.
It's really concerning, and she's not being monitored because I think the dad is doing all that he can do to take care of himself, and the kid's not being monitored.
Yeah.
That is concerning, and that is a family that really does need some psychotherapeutic help. They really do need some help, or coaching.
Yeah, and that's not an uncommon senior.
That's not an uncommon scene. That's actually probably more common of a scene than a lot of what I am saying to all of you. So I'm giving you the ideals, everybody. I know that this is an easy one for me to talk about, or for Tim and I to talk about, and I know it's quite different for you all to utilize. I get that. I know it. I do know it. I'm giving you best practice, okay? And that's what this podcast is. I'm not giving you individual consultation. That would be inappropriate. It would be unethical. I'm not your therapist. I'm not your personal coach. If you want that, you will need to reach out to me, and then we get into a one-on-one. Then it changes, and then I know you, I know your life. That's quite different. But this is just general best practice for the podcast, okay?
Yeah.
All right. And then parents, at the end of the day, you really need to talk about what are your own tech boundaries, okay? So I think that it starts with you. It always starts with parents. You have to know when to get off Slack. You have to know when to get off Discord. And you need to say, hey, I'm getting off. Everybody, we're all shutting down. Let's go for a walk. Or I'm going to go work out now, or I'm going to go watch a show. Anything. Let's walk the dog. All right. But the kids are watching you. That is true all the way around with whatever it is we're doing in our lives. They have big eyes and they have big ears. And I say this all the time to parents in all contexts. Don't talk about your divorce and how much you hate your ex-husband, your ex-wife, because the kids are within earshot. And don't think for 1 second, because I've seen this in real life when I would do home visits. I've seen in real life those kids stop what they're doing, or they slow down, they're playing with their toys. They're listening to you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here are the takeaways. All right. So for all of you who are parents and all of you who are educators, I think you need to co-learn AI. If you haven't already, maybe some of you educators are, but parents, we've all got to co-learn AI together. Okay. So treat it like you're going to driver's ed. Do you remember when you went to driver's ed when you were 15, 16, 17, or 18? Treat it like driver's ed. You've got to sit in the passenger seat first and watch it. And then you can try and get on there and learn what your kids are doing. All right. So for teenagers, and you can share this with your teenagers, before adopting any bot's advice, you need to gut check with one trusted human and write down what I just said right now and take it to your teenager. Okay. So you can listen to what the bot is saying to you, but you need to gut check it with a human being, at least one human being in your life. All right. Okay. So co-learn AI. Number 2, you need to regulate the market as parents. Support age verification laws. Demand transparency from developers, you as parents and you as educators. For the teenagers, having a bot, that's your practice partner, okay? That's not your soulmate. That's your practice partner. It's a person that you're practicing your basketball drills with. The same thing with a bot. You're practicing with them. They're not your soulmate. Log off and test these new skills that you're learning face to face with a human being. Number 3, I want mental health triaging. AI can flag, not fix problems. So for all of you parents out there, I think most of us know this now. It can flag issues. It's not going to fix or treat. Okay. So keep those therapist pathways open for your kids and for your students. For the teenagers, share this with them. You need to set a tech curfew. Sleep is the OG mental health app. Sleep is the number 1 mental health app. Tell your kids you heard it on a podcast. Tell them I said it. Tell them you're saying it. It's a number 1 mental health app. There's nothing more important in this world than us and your teenagers getting their sleep, or your kids getting their sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so true. Think about how you feel.
Yeah.
Right. When you don't get it.
Oh, me.
You're like, oh gosh. Yeah.
If my sleep scores are bad, it's not good.
Bad.
And it really does affect me.
Yeah.
My sleep score is great. It's game changing.
Yeah.
Okay. So number 4, I want parents and educators, I want you all to normalize curiosity over shame. I said it earlier. It's always about curiosity. Kids talk more with you when they're not afraid of you confiscating their device. It's true, right?
Yeah.
If they don't think you're going to take that phone away, they're going to talk more. They need to feel that you're curious and you want to know, rather than you're going to be punitive and take that phone away. All right. And for the teenagers, data, it's not your diary. Remember that. If you want to write in a diary or journal, go get a book, go get a journal, a real paper, and start writing, or even put it in your phone, your note app in your phone. Remember, this bot is not your diary. So remember, chatbots are not protected like therapy notes. Like my therapy notes are protected by law. The only time I've had to do it twice, I've been subpoenaed to court twice in legal cases as a psychotherapist. It was the only 2 times that I had to subpoena my notes. It's very difficult, very, very difficult. You're never going to see a therapist's notes, all right? Remember, that's not the same for you all, talking to a chatbot as if it's your therapist. It's not your therapist.
Right.
Okay.
So true.
All right. And then for parents and educators, community design, push schools and youth organizations to fold AI literacy into health curriculums. This has got to happen. You said it earlier. Here you go. So we need to start really pushing schools and these youth organizations. You got to get AI literacy into the health curriculums. We got to start teaching our kids about this,
sense.
right?
I mean, you
Right.
think about your days. Now, this goes back a minute, but like think about your days of like health class and the topics that were discussed. You could channel that and you kind of knew the topics that were going to happen. Now, the topics, it's a broad brush that you're painting with now, the topics that could be brought up in that setting, right?
Well, we got to start talking
Totally.
about, mental health, emotional health.
Yeah.
We got to start talking about artificial intelligence and bots. Okay. That's got to be a part of it. So that's something we as parents and educators can advocate for. And then for you teenagers, you need to create a mixed friend diet. You've got one bot that you trust and you go to, then I want you to have 5 friends in real life the same. Okay. So for every one bot that you have, you need to have 5 friends in real life. And for many of you, that's not a problem. And that's wonderful. I hope you have more than 5. But for one bot, 5 friends in real life. Okay.
Yeah, because those 5 friends, their story is not much different than the story you're describing.
Yeah.
Possibly. Right. So they need you just as much as you need them.
And I think a lot of parents are doing a really good job of this. A lot of parents, their kids are in sports, their kids are in dance, the kids are in theater, and they do a good job of getting them together, driving them to whatever. I don't think they even go to the mall anymore. We're driving them to each other's houses or having things planned for them. But not all families, not all kids have that.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is more for educators. Like if you've got kids in your classroom or kids that you see who you don't know how involved the parents are, you can talk to them about, listen, I know that you're on your phone and you can talk about in your classroom or when you do like assembly or talk about in student government, when you have your student government meetings, talk about, you got that one chat bot that you love and what's the name of yours and what's the name of yours, who are you using? Let's have friends in real life. And you got to preach it to them over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. Yeah. Educators, maybe you can do it. Parents, I would be careful of that preaching, okay? Because we don't want them to just shut down because they can and will shut down, right? So AI companions, they're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. Banning them from the kids, it's not teaching them resilience, all right? Co-piloting will. So this is what it is. You are now the co-pilot. You're going to driver's ed at some point, but right now you're sitting in the passenger seat and you're watching what your kids are doing, all right? So if you need to share this episode with your kids, they can listen to this as well.
Yeah, totally.
And they can learn from it and they can listen to what I'm telling you as parents. All right. And then I've got some takeaways in there for them. All right. Really, really important. We're all here. It's not going anywhere. It's the future. And let's learn to work with it rather than fighting against it. And this is the best ways for you to do it as, a conscience-driven parent.
Perfect.
Okay, everyone. I hope that this was helpful. I know that this is a tough topic. It's changing. It seems like it's changing daily, weekly. This is just some first ways for you to begin interacting with your kids and these chatbots and artificial intelligence around their mental health and their emotional health. Okay. Hope that this is helpful. Mad love.